The president of Canada's Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association taking shots at Manitoba's premier for his call to cut tariffs on EVs following CTV's exclusive interview. Wab Kinew penned an open letter to the Prime Minister yesterday encouraging the feds to negotiate with China, saying canola and pork are important to the prairie provinces. But Flavio Volpe says Kinew is playing Canada's sectors off each other and caving to threats. He adds, quote, "When the chips are down, Canadian Auto has always said no special carve-outs at the cost of others." Volpe also calling out Scott Moe, Saskatchewan, for some similar comments. And Flavio Volpe joins us now to talk more about this. Flavio, you are clearly and obviously against removing these tariffs. You were very vocal about it on social media yesterday when both Scott Moe and Wab Kinew came out in support of this move. But take us through why you are so against Canada and the federal government doing something like this.
Well, first of all, I think that we haven't been in a trade war since last year when we put on EV tariffs. We've been in a trade war with China for almost a decade, especially when they detained a couple of Canadians arbitrarily and threw them in jail, and we had to negotiate our way out there using the influence of President Biden. So let's go over a wider picture. Second of all, these Chinese EVs are not made for profit. They are subsidized and they are dumped around the world as a strategy to throttle out advanced manufacturing in those jurisdictions. Now, I think that Wab Kinew is a gentleman, and Scott Moe has his good days too. I'm not taking shots at them. I'm reminding them publicly that if Canada is in a trade war with a country, then the response has to be a Canadian response. You've never heard me, your viewers have never heard me say, hey, by the way, let's throw the dairy farmers to the wolves with the Americans, or throw lumber to the wolves. What we said from the beginning is we didn't hustle for a carve-out. This is the biggest advanced manufacturing sector in the country, in the biggest province. We said, use those chips at the federal level to help others who need it. We went and got an exemption in this trade war with the U.S. for Canadian auto parts ourselves. As an industry, we went and lobbied Washington, we went and lobbied Detroit and every other auto capital and said, if you tariff Canadian auto parts, then you'll shut down your own industry, and they backed off. What Wab Kinew did yesterday and Scott Moe did yesterday is take cues from the Chinese ambassador. And when the American ambassador says, hey, we don't want Canadian cars. Hey, by the way, you guys sound like you want all the benefits of 51st state. Your viewers will know that I and other premiers stand up and say, we don't take our cues from somebody else. We work for Team Canada, recognizing that everybody is suffering. I want to make the point that industrial Canada is suffering, and the biggest targets of tariffs in this country from an economic superpower are U.S. tariffs on steel, aluminum, and automotive, and nobody is saying, Doug Ford, please go get a carve-out for us. Or none of us is going to the Prime Minister and say, oh, we need a deal, we're so desperate, throw somebody else to the wolves. I expect better leadership from two thoughtful premiers, understanding, of course, that they're suffering in their provinces and that they are speaking to people that elected them.
Yeah, that unified approach has come, I think, from others too, including, whether it has been Doug Ford and not at points, and taking it. It's very precipitous, though, right? This line about, the tariffs and dealing with the situation with the U.S. and also dealing at the same time with China while trying to add certain agreements, whether it's with Mexico, in Europe, and Mark Carney has been working to expand some of the trade profile clearly across the globe. When you factor all of that in and you go back and forth with some of these, when premiers are asking for carve-outs, how do you go about, what's the best way for you, in your experience in dealing with this and having been a part of and on the front lines of this for a very long time, trying to do this as we see this new trade world order really coming into effect?
It's a complicated play. I mean, if chess was easy, my dog would play it. We as an industry, we provide as much data as possible to the negotiators and support the negotiating table, but also we skip past and help educate and advocate in the places that target us. Few people that you're going to have on this show have negotiated directly with Chinese automakers like I have, like the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association did. We went very hard in 2016, 17, and 18, and all of those discussions that everybody says, well, let's get them to just manufacture cars here and we can get around this whole tariff business. They pulled out. They pulled out when we pushed back, when they arrested Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig. I mean, this is who we're dealing with. Now, we're in a scenario where all of the gains that that they've gotten with pushing first massive human capital and now into highly subsidized heavy automation, we can't compete. Now, that also goes for bus makers and truck makers in Manitoba. And so this is a national play. And look, I have as much sympathy for the other industries and sectors and communities in this country as I do for the ones that are close by my house that I talk to every day. That's why I have consistently said, and that I've implored our leaders, including our premier and the premiers around the country and the Canadian negotiating team, to say, we go to the table to negotiate with the Chinese and or the U.S. as Canada. And where we're unable to get the best accommodation for one of our groups, then we use domestic policy and we use industrial policy to focus on them. We're in the middle of the game. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that changed yesterday was that the Chinese ambassador said, if you do this, we'll give you that. And last time I checked, the Chinese ambassador was sent from Beijing, not from Ottawa, not from Winnipeg, not from Regina, certainly not from Toronto.
Mm-hmm. Flavio Volpe, president of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association, thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks for having me.